Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of the Daily Cannon Tactics Board. Stephen Bradley here, bringing you the tactical tweaks and quirks that came from Arsenal's two 2-1 wins over the last 10 days against West Ham and Leeds. Apologies for the lateness of the video. Again, work getting involved. It's a little bit tricky to find time at the moment just to get these videos done, but I said I'd get them done as soon as possible, and here we are. Should get the Tottenham one out Friday, and that's the plan. I'm off Friday, so that'll be out on Friday evening-ish, depending on how much we win or lose by. If we win, it'll be out Friday evening because I'm 39 and I can't recover from hangovers. If we lose badly, it'll be out in the evening because I'm 39 and I don't recover back from hangovers. So yeah, if you do enjoy this video, feel free to leave a like at the bottom. If you saw anything that I didn't see, comment down below. And if you want these videos in your inbox on a regular basis, hit subscribe. As always, like I said, there's plenty of people who get involved in the comments, love talking about football, and a brilliant community building. Some of them getting in touch with me, asking how I am, just because the videos aren't as regular as they should be, and it's just nice to know. It's just nice people talking about football. Nothing, no quote unquote banter, no one trying to take the piss, nothing like that. We just like football. And on that note, these were two very weird games because clearly Arsenal had a plan for both of them, and a plan was laid out for Arsenal in both of them. Yet, in both games, Arsenal came out clearly on top, and it shows the differences in the way teams are trying to attack Arsenal, and it kind of working but kind of not working. And West Ham is a case in point. We all know how much Tavares is an unknown, shall we speak, as a left back, especially defensively. Going forward, he's fine. He offers plenty of attack, both inside and out. But as a defensive outlet, he's a little bit of a liability right now as he learns his trade and he gets used to just even little things like being in a straight line with his other defense members when trying to call offside. Like it's going to take time, and West Ham decided that instead of playing through the middle, because they had no striker, because Mikel Arteta was out, and they were trying to rest a couple of players because they only had one central defender fit. They said, you know what, we've got three creative attacking players and one winger. Let's not play through the middle. What's the point? It doesn't fit our strengths. So they decided to attack the fullbacks. They said, right, Kufal's going to push forward, Fredericks is going to push forward, Cresswell is a left back as it is, Zuma is going to cover the space, Noble will go wide, Rice will go wide, Lanzini will go wide, Benrahma will go wide, and just try and overlap here, and then Noble, Fornals and Bowen will do the same here. And basically try and create something and then get it in the other way. And you can see by our trusty friend the heat maps that on one side they had a fair bit of joy but got stuck, and then on the other side they did nothing at all and had to turn back. So they were able to get through here, but then cross the ball, and then Rob Holding and Tomiyasu, two centre backs, basically were out to just head the ball out, and off they go again. And this was just rinse and repeat. West Ham found very little in the way of getting good balls in until the end of the first half, when Fornals just thrashes a ball in, it bounces to Bowen. Bowen hits a shot, takes a deflection of Gabriel, and it goes in. And they were a little lucky to get that. Like, Arsenal were doing a brilliant job of keeping West Ham ahead of them. Bowen wasn't getting in here. Fornals wasn't getting in here. They were, they were doing a really good job of just keeping them at arm's bay, keeping them at arm's width. Because, as you can see, look, they're getting to here, but they're not getting anywhere near the box at all. They're getting almost, when they're trying to overlap, Arsenal are letting them in here. And here. And Fornals is getting there, and Noble be here. Like, they're getting in here, but there's no one in the box then. So Arsenal were fine. Yeah. You wanna go in there, on you go. Fine by us. If you're gonna throw in crosses to no one, on you go. And what it meant was that anytime West Ham lost the ball, even if Fredericks didn't get involved because he was, too worried about Saka, it left so much room for Rice and Noble to make up that even if they sat back a bit, if Tomiyasu could get past Benrahma and get the ball to El Neni, who could get the ball to Odegaard, they're off again. And so what Arsenal found was that they just had to sit back and wait and just let West Ham just knock the ball around them. And they would find that eventually they'd get Nketiah 2-on-1 with Zuma and Cresswell. And in the second half, this happened over and over and over again, where and then he was coming here and Zuma and Cresswell to beat, and he just put balls through here again and again, and Nketiah would just run past them and have shots. Like, Arsenal were so well drilled that it just left West Ham too open through the middle to try and just concentrate on doing this, on breaking them down through the wings. And as a result, Arsenal were able to just sit back and take their opportunities in the corner. Yes, they scored from set pieces, but that's where your set piece joy comes in. If you can get the odd goal from set pieces, you can play like this. Where you can sit back and go, right, okay, let them have the ball in these areas, As long as there's no one in here, there's no one to cross to. On you go. And Arsenal did exactly that. Just sat back and just let West Ham pass around them. Like, you can see, even Arsenal, when they had the ball, were more than able to just pass around the back and get it out. Because when they had the ball, West Ham weren't pressing. Like, Mikel Antonio is such a crucial part to their team that when Arsenal would have a kick out and they'd go like this and try to get the ball wide out to Saka, like, Bowen wasn't pressing. Fornals wasn't pressing. Benrahma wasn't pressing. West Ham were just happy to sit back. So Arsenal were able to kick on and just basically take the time. Again, they were winning for a long part of this game. And especially in the second half, once they got the second goal, they just knocked the ball around. Just let West Ham, saunter forward. Back. And then, a long ball to Nketiah, who did brilliant work because not only was he linking up play, but he was able to get in these areas too. I mean, again, you can see how Nketiah was getting in this left-hand channel behind Zuma and in behind Kufal, especially down this side. Like, Arsenal were able to do a great job of just isolating West Ham's midfielders and then getting Nketiah on the ball, and weren't relying on Tavares to be an outlet. And Martinelli having a quiet game meant that they weren't getting so much along this side, but that meant Nketiah was able to run past him. Saka very much didn't have his best game, but he's allowed, players are allowed with games off. Just this is a game where your centre backs win a game for you, and you're like, okay, let's go back to the drawing board. Let's games like this where you can sit back and you don't have to push so much because you've scored 2 goals from corners means you end up with heat maps like this, where Arsenal are just taking their time and almost running down the clock away from home and a really tough opponent. So the more they kept West Ham here and West Ham here, happy days. It's not a bother. It's not a bother. Like I said, West Ham with 57% of the ball and 0.63 XG. That's a snooze fest. Like, Arsenal, of course, didn't do much themselves, but again, West Ham are 6th, 7th in the league. This is just a good win. When you've got the ability to score from corners, it gives you an extra string to your bow. It gives you that extra ability to wait, to not push the boundaries, not push up further, exposing these wings so that West Ham can just exploit them at times because you've pushed Saka forward and Martinelli forward. They're trying to get 4 and 2s and 4 and 3s. Like, that didn't happen because Arsenal just didn't need to push forward. And as a result, West Ham were just left with the ball on the left wing and the right wing and did nothing with it. And you think from that, where it's like, well, what do you learn from it? You learn that, yes, West Ham had a bit of joy down the left wing. And then with the next game coming up, when it's Rafinha and Leeds, and you're like, okay, we can't afford to let that happen again. But we don't have a recognised left back other than Tavares. Well, it's like, well, the next thing you can do is move Tomiyasu, and that's exactly what they did. They put in Tomiyasu at left back, And they said, right, we're not letting you basically have this space that Tavares would have. We're not letting you, trying to exploit this. And what we're going to try and do is invite, invite Leeds onto you a little bit, because with Leeds with Jesse Marsh, it's like the Red Bull way of playing, and there is one, believe it or not. It's very narrow. It's kind of Liverpool-esque, but not with the same ferocity. But it's basically try and keep as narrow as you can, and then everyone moves. So if I could copy and paste and move all of this would all move in one space. So it'd be like this. It'd go like this. And basically the idea is to pin you in, basically. And Eddie would there, Click could go there, Phillips there, they'd push up a bit, and they'd squeeze you, and they'd make sure you had no room. And one way to beat that, long ball into the wings. That's what they want you to do. They want you to risk those 40, 50-yard balls and go from there. The problem with Leeds playing this way is that Arsenal are built to do this anyway. So what was happening was, over the first 10 minutes or so, Leeds were playing very narrow. They weren't running with the greatest of urgency. Dan James is not a centre midfielder. He was there basically to get on the end of Gelhardt's knockdowns and run on. Jack Harrison's fine, but again, he's going to cut in, and Rafinha's Rafinha. So what was happening was that Martinelli was given the space of basically one side of the Emirates, and Saka was given the other. And Phillips is able to cover some of this space, but Elneny and Cedric were doing just enough just to basically harass him. And then it was basically Saka against Firpo for 5 minutes. And Saka was burning past him twice. Firpo was dragging him down. So Llorente comes over here. Hawk goes over there. Ayling goes over here. And then what happens? Hello, I'm Gabriel Martinelli and I'm in 30 yards of space. And Rafinha's not going to come back and track back. And Click's too slow and Ayling's too slow. And basically, anytime Leeds went like this, to try and get Arsenal out there, it would ping all the way back. And they were doing that for 10 minutes, and Leeds' panic in just trying to get the ball out was what led to the first goal, because they had barely seen any of the ball. They were trying to get their out. Ayling plays it to Meslier, and Nketiah pounces and scores. And then for the second goal, Ayling, who is having a nightmare against Martinelli, can't keep up with him. Koch has already come across to try and catch him up. Martinelli beats him in, passes it in. Nketiah has an open goal, 2-0, game over. And then Ayling says, do you know what, screw this. I'm having enough of chasing around Martinelli. I'm just going to smack into him as hard as I can, and that's the end of it. And Ayling gets his marching orders and goes home. And then the game's over. Like you can set up all you want for the opposition, but when the opposition decides to go to 10 men for no good reason, and then their response is, right, okay, Click's going to play right back. Llorente, we're going to take off. They took off Gelhardt actually, and they brought in Struijk. I'm probably gonna end up spelling this name wrong, but maybe Ruijk. Believe it that. Struijk ended up playing almost as a centre back. Llorente, Phillips, you've got from there. Harrison, Rafinha, and James. And it's almost like 5-3-1. And with Rafinha back here almost, and Harrison back here almost, it was almost 7-1-1 at times. With Arsenal just more than happy to play like this. Even with Calvin Phillips, trying to screen and go across like that, with Struijk occasionally coming forward to get the ball and Llorente occasionally coming forward to get the ball. But this was the way they lined up, and all Arsenal did was just move them across from side to side for 90 minutes. They'd do this. Saka was free. You know, they respond by doing this, and then Martinelli was free. Like, they were trying to maintain this narrow shape, but they were trying to do it with a man, basically a man down. And it was a nightmare, and Arsenal just continually found space, just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, almost like rocking a baby. Like, you were going like this, and, like, look at that free. You can see exactly how far they're going in, right up to the penalty boxes at times, because Leeds was so deep. And, Leeds occasionally were able to get out with the left wing, but Rafinha, just to show, like, Arsenal set up with a left back to counteract this man here. And this man's, heat map has him here. It's just one of those games where it's like, oh yeah, this man's gonna be the biggest trouble for Leeds, and his average place of possession of the ball is there. And I know a few people say there's like, look, it was only 2-1, it got nervous at the end. That's on us. We know how much this result means. The numbers don't say it was nervous at all. Like 3 shots. Yes, it was a little bit sloppy from a free kick, but 2.57 to 4.9 is a hammering. Like this was just a good performance, and another day it could and should have been 3 or 4-1. What's going to be interesting is, I'll use the Leeds one, is how Arsenal are going to fare against Tottenham tomorrow night. Because Tottenham are going to play very similarly to what Leeds tried to do, except with an extra man. They're going to play 5 at the back. They're going to keep it nice and deep, and they're going to hope to pick us off on the counter. And there is some credence, if Ben White is fit, for maybe dropping Martinelli for Ben White, and then going to the 5-2-3, going to the low block early on with Saka left wing, Odegaard on the right, and basically match them, and just turning it into the most boring, dull 0-0 you've ever seen. It's risky because, 1 goal separates it and you're away from home, and, big game, good side. But that's what Tottenham did to Liverpool. They said, look, we're just going to sit back and wait. And there's a certain amount of logic in it. It's a different game than usual, than just a typical North London derby, because we almost have an away goal. We're 4 points clear in the league with 3 games to go. We don't need to win this game. We'd like to, because if we do, we're in the Champions League. Happy days. But a draw suits us just fine. Like a loss here and then you can beat Everton in the last day of the season and you're in. So, do you just try and soak up pressure? Do you give us all a heart attack for 90 minutes and sit back like this? I don't know, but if I'm Mikel Arteta, I'd be tempted. That concludes my analysis over the last couple of weeks of Arsenal games. Again, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like at the bottom of the screen. If you do want these in your inbox on a regular basis, subscribe, hit the bell button. You'll be notified when these go up. Again, I'm aiming to have the Tottenham review Friday evening. That's the plan. A win will do, obviously. Would I take 0-0? You're damn right I would. If we lose, then yeah, we have to beat Newcastle and Everton. But then Tottenham have to beat Burnley at home, and we've seen Tottenham struggle against teams that set up with 5 at the back. So it's going to be fascinating and nerve-wracking and exhausting to watch Arsenal play Thursday night against Tottenham. But that's why we love it, isn't it? We will talk to you next time, viewer. Cheers.